Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX agency, and it is time once again for my Tuesday office hours Ask Me Anything. I do this every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time, which is what it is now, and hopefully I'm not too raccoon-eyed. So we have some questions that came in ahead of time, so they are first in the queue. I am monitoring deltacx.link/ask. You can use that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and your question will be queued up for the next show or live right now. I'm also watching the YouTube and the LinkedIn chat, so you are welcome to ask your question anywhere. The ask link is best if you would like to dish on your current job, because you can be completely anonymous. I won't name names unless you sign your name. Whereas if it's in YouTube, I usually say your name. So there you go. As always, please subscribe here and press the like button if you enjoy office hours. The tip jar is optional. And of course, I don't know where to point really. All super chats and super stickers are welcome. And of course, we also have paid subscriptions here to thank you. And I thank you for supporting the channel since I've turned off all the ads. So let's take a look at looking at some of the questions that have already come in, and we'll start with those. I've got four questions, and then I'll take yours. I usually stay here an hour, and then after that, our time is up. So here's the first question that I got. I've been watching your videos for the past several months. Thank you. And I've learned a lot. Thank you. But I'm not sure what comes next. I recognize that my company does not understand UX, and I'm having trouble articulating what I've learned to my team and convincing leadership to invest in user research. Besides having Delta CX watch parties, what can I do? Alternatively, if I chose to work somewhere else, how do I find a company further along the UX understanding and implementing spectrum if the vast majorities of companies are low on the spectrum? What a great question. Hi, Charlene. First of all, thank you again for your kind words. And I love the idea of Delta CX watch parties. I think that should happen at more companies. You should be blocking out this time and getting everybody together and serving up some gluten-free donuts or something. I think that it's hard. I have found that despite all of my books and talks and training and what I think is good advice, it is very hard to convince a company to change. Now, funny enough, when someone shows up with the word transformation in their program, digital transformation, agile transformation, somehow those people get time and money, and we try to do those things. But when we show up and talk about transformation towards UX, we're mostly ignored. I think that some of that is going to be changed by a change in language. So I'm really pushing this year for us to talk to the people in our company about transforming towards customer centricity. Digital's nice, sure, let's have some web pages. And agile can be good. Sure, let's be more efficient and cut waste, but we don't want to try to go faster at the expense of customer satisfaction. We have to stop releasing MVPs and guesses and things like that. So, to the person watching, I'm hoping that some of my new talks might help you, and I really would suggest a watch party for the one I'm going to do on Monday. I do have a sample screen from that one. So, when I do it live, I have a poll that I show, and I ask the people, and these are usually non-UX, non-CX, when would you like to learn that we're going in the wrong direction with our product or feature? And really what people end up choosing for the most part is, wow, I wish we knew we were going in the wrong direction in early planning and research and concepts and concept testing. But yet, if you take a look at Agile and the concept of the MVP and things like that, you'll find that very often we are not learning that we're going in the wrong direction till the end of that graph. Engineering built it, we released it to some or all of the paying public, and now we have to wait and figure out if we got this wrong. that is so incredibly expensive and time wasting for everybody. So I would say if you can have a watch party, put us down for Monday, May 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. I don't know where you're located. And if you can't make it, it will be in the I'm going to put it in probably the live stream podcast playlist and the conference sessions playlist. It is called Improving Agility by Using Customers' Definitions of Quality and Done. And really, the message is for non-CX and UX people to think more about transformations towards customer centricity. That ultimately we have nothing if we don't have customer satisfaction. You can have speed, efficiency, agility, lean, whatever buzzword you want to throw around, but if customers aren't happy, we've got a pile of nothing. Now, as for your other question, and Kayleen's got some questions that I see. You will be added to the list. So hold on, Kayleen. We already have 4 questions today, so you will be 5 and 6. As for the other half of your question, I think that you can, if you do decide to brush up your resume and start looking for jobs, I think there are definitely things that you can ask during the interview process that can try to expose lower maturity companies earlier. First of all, you can tell a lot from job descriptions. As I say in my new HR training, let's put that up, deltacx.link/HR-training, which is completely free. You can also pass that around your company. As I say in that, we can tell from your job description when you don't get UX. So thing 1, you probably don't want to apply for those jobs. Do yourself a favor. Thing 2, there are questions you can ask that will help you know some of these things up front. And I think one of them would be to speak right to what you wrote here, which is your company doesn't seem to want to invest in user research. So if you are interviewing at a company, why not ask them, what's your user research program like? Who does user research? How often are we observing customers or talking to customers? What happens with the outcomes and the findings of that research? Does engineering or other processes wait for research to have good information, or do we just go ahead and design and build without research having that information? There's probably some better ways that you can phrase that, but just off the top of my head, I think those are completely fair questions that you can ask, especially when you're in an interview or a second interview and you're really getting close to possibly taking the job and you're wondering, what is the climate there really like? And you can ask that in a first interview if you don't want to go too far down the interview process and find out later this is a disaster, or you can ask it maybe in the second interview if you're thinking, I'm not going to bother these people with these questions until it looks like I've made the cut. So up to you to how to play that. But that would be some of my suggestions. If you're watching live, please do ask some follow-up questions if you have any. You can always find me in Slack. I am in Slack every waking moment, as the Slack fans can tell you. deltacx.link/join Slack. There is no membership fee. This is not a walled garden. Everybody is welcome. And I've only thrown out like one person so far. Everybody is truly welcome. So please come there if you need help, and that help needs to happen in between Tuesdays. So I hope that helps. Thank you for your question and good luck at your workplace. Here's our next question. Hi, Debbie. I've climbed the corporate ladder in my field relatively quickly. I've gone from intern in my field to senior consultant at a large consulting firm within 4 to 5 years, and am doing work in my focus area that I'm proud of. This is great to hear. These are really good things. Being promoted, being a senior within 4 to 5 years, and doing work you're proud of, amazing. But because I've been focused on climbing and growing in my field, I haven't stayed at any given company for more than a year. I'm wondering if you would see that as a liability in the current age. Will I handicap my future employment prospects if I don't demonstrate that I can stay in a role for multiple years? So that is one of those it depends answers. When it comes to me, that doesn't personally bother me. I know there are a lot of reasons why people leave jobs. They can leave jobs because the pay was bad, because the workplace was toxic, because it was a contract and the contract ended, because you had to move, because you had children, you got a puppy, your parents weren't healthy. There's always reasons why people leave jobs, and I usually don't ask people, why did you leave a job? I just feel like that doesn't give me important information because most people leave jobs for good reasons. So, I'm just going to assume you had them. Slurp, slurp, slurp. So, for me, that doesn't bother me. But I used to be a serial contractor and I still do a lot of freelancing. So it doesn't bother me when someone has 6 months there, 8, 9 months there, a year there, year and a half there, a couple of months here. That doesn't bother me. There are some workplaces that are bothered by that. And I've been asked in interviews like, hey, you don't seem to stay in one place very long. And typically, again, as a contractor and a freelancer, I just have to explain to them that's the nature of my work. I'm typically being brought in as a temporary person. There is no intention for me to necessarily make this my career. But if you give me a job I like where I can do good work and be appreciated, of course I'll stay. I mean, that's typically the type of answer I give people. It's not that I'm looking to leave soon, or it's not that I'm disloyal or I jump from place to place. But if you give me a full-time job that, if you give me a great work environment, I'm not leaving. That's your challenge. Give me a great work environment. So, are you handicapped in your future employment? That's an it depends. Some people might go, oh, look at this. Some people might go, who cares? I actually have a slide about this in my HR training, and I say, don't hold this against people. Don't hold it against people that they may have been somewhere 6 months, a year, and seem to have bounced around a lot because they probably bounced around for good reasons. They might have been contractors or freelancers. They might have been gaslit and discriminated against. And we don't know, but you can ask if you want, but, just know that many of us who have bounced around usually have a good reason. So, okay, I'm filling up the queue with the Kayleen questions. So, Kayleen, I promise I see you. And I am still getting through the questions that came through earlier. So I hope that helps to the person who asked. If you have a follow-up question, or if you didn't ask that question and you have a follow-up question, you are ready to send it in. Okay, nothing new coming in. And contractors, yes. Does that mean you're watching me, Chris? I'm getting a message from a friend that says, yes, contractors. Is he watching, or is he just dreaming about contractors while I happen to be talking about it? So here's another question that came in ahead of time, and it says, the jobs that recruiters send me on LinkedIn usually don't fit my level of experience. I don't want to hop on the phone and end up realizing that the job isn't the right fit, but my LinkedIn profile is right there. Are all recruiters like this? Unfortunately, many recruiters can be like this. Many recruiters can be low effort. One of my apprentices recently added to her LinkedIn that she was now an assistant at Delta CX, an assistant researcher, and started getting a recruiter saying, hey, why don't you apply for this researcher job that requires, 1 year of experience, 2 years of experience? Hello, can you see that this person's been my apprentice for like a month? So, no, I don't think they're looking at all. And I get the craziest stuff sent to me on LinkedIn. I get content strategist, which I'm generally not. I get visual designer, which I'm definitely not. I get UX UI, which y'all know I'm not. So are all recruiters like this? No. Definitely not. I've worked with some great recruiters who wanted to talk to me on the phone and get to know me as a human and learn what I'm looking for and try to match me with the right job, because many recruiters don't make money unless they match you with the right job. So it doesn't make sense for them to send you for something that you don't fit. So I never see the point of them doing that unless they think they're just going to cast this wide net and you're going to send it to your friends and you're going to do their job for them. In general, right now, I've just been sending them my training. When recruiters send me wrong stuff, I say, I'm not that. You didn't even look. Please take my training. deltacx.link-hr-training/hr-training. It's completely free. Please take it. And I think if enough of us start telling recruiters that, they might wonder why they're hearing that so often from so many people. Why do all these people keep sending me a link to this training? What don't I know? But yeah, I think even my friend was saying to me yesterday, he says, I am watching. Okay, well, now I'm watching you watch me. Oh yeah, because it's after work hours. Hi. He was just saying the other day, like, why do all of these people send me these ridiculous jobs? And yeah, Charlene says, I get a lot of UX developer jobs. That doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make, yeah, she's giving me crying emojis. So I feel you to the person who wrote this. I don't think all recruiters are like this, but I agree with you. Don't burn your time on it. Don't get on a phone call with it. You don't have to email them your latest resume. Tell them, you didn't look at my profile. That's not a match. Please take this training. That's it. That's what I'm giving people. Please take the training. Maybe it's the new talk to the hand. All right. Next, there's another good question that came in ahead of time through the deltacx.link/ask universe. Oh, by the way, to my friend who's watching, you have to watch last night's show. Episode 108 in the live stream podcast playlist. Who was there last night for what isn't design thinking? On a scale of 1 to 5 dogs, how good was last night's show? I woke up this morning and I watched it again and I was crying, laughing. Oh my God, that's what I did this morning before I got out of bed. I watched my own show. I know that sounds cheesy, but it was so freaking funny. I even got a nice message from someone who said, next time I'm having a bad day at work, I'm going to watch this show again. So episode 108, everybody. Okay, so the next question was, in general, will I get to choose which projects to present at an interview? Or should I have presentations ready for any project in my portfolio or resume? That answer is going to depend on kind of what level you are at. Kayleen says 5 dogs out of 5 for yesterday. Put that up. Oh, there they are on the screen. Thank you. Thank you, little poodle emoji. Look at that. Yeah, yesterday was totally 5 dogs out of 5. So, so it depends. If you are still a junior or newbie, you're not going to have a lot of things that you can show from your portfolio. Maybe you've done some school projects or practice projects or other things. And yes, have presentations ready to go with them. When I used to interview and show my portfolio, I didn't have formal presentations ready, but I had ready on my computer all of the things that I felt I was allowed to show related to that project in an interview. So I didn't have a formal PowerPoint or presentation ready, but very often, because I've worked in a lot of different places, sometimes I'd show up to an interview and someone would say, what do you have that's banking? And then I have to be like, aha, I have something. Do you want to see this or do you want to see this? Now, of course, the more experienced you are, the more you're going to have that. And that just meant that I just had to have folders and stuff on my computer that were ready to go. I never relied on them being online. You never know if you could get on the Wi-Fi at these job interviews. I had everything downloaded to my computer. And so, again, I didn't have formal presentations ready, but they would sometimes say like, what's the most complex Axure prototype you've done? Hold on. So I would say that the more stuff you have, the more you should have it on your computer and have it ready, downloaded, not streamed from somewhere or live on the internet, ready to present, even if you don't have a formal presentation. Very often I have found that I've sort of gotten to choose, but very often I found that people have asked me first for some sort of area that they're hoping to see about. Hey, do you have something that's like B2B in technology or networking? Yeah. So, did I choose that? Yes or no? But I wanted to be able to say yes to everything. So I had pretty much all the work that I could show in a private interview ready to go on my computer. I hope that helps. And hold on, have to send a note for Saturday. We are still doing all research interviews this week. We are doing 28 observational studies. Yow! So we're still scheduling them, and one just rolled in. This is where I remind everybody I actually do the work. I don't just talk about the work. There are some people out there who I don't have a lot of love for who talk about the work, but I'm not sure they're doing the work, and I'm not sure they've done it in a while. Even some of the authors, whoa, you look at their LinkedIn and you're like, the last time they had a job was 2012? Thanks for that question. I hope that helps. Now we have the Kayleen flurry of good questions. So let's take a look at what Kayleen is thinking. And some of these are going to be cut off on the screen, but I can see them on my chat room. Quote, don't apply to jobs where you don't match the level of experience versus don't worry if you don't match the job description exactly. Who is right? Kayleen, I actually did an entire episode on this, and it was like really long ago. I think it was like episode 15, 11? It was called something like, this job is a stretch. Should I still apply? So if you want to hear me talk about that for an hour, go back into the live stream podcast archives and dig up that old one. Oz says, it's nice to be an author who doesn't have to take clients and projects. Yay, something to aspire to. Very good. It's true. That does sound good. So Kayleen, in short, what I recommend to people is just self-awareness. That if you don't match the job description, especially with amount of experience, it's probably not worth, it is episode 15. Great. Thank you. So what I generally find, super short version, is if a job asks for 5 years of experience and you have 1 or 2, don't bother. That's not close enough for them to go, she's really interesting. Let's give her a chance. If you are close, the job asks for 2 years of experience and you have a year or a year and a half. Okay, I'd push it. If the job asks for a master's degree, but you have 5 years of work experience, I'd push it. There are some things that seem to translate or balance, but there are some times where I think it's just not worth your time applying, and you can end up looking a little bit weird to the other people. Like, wow, we really needed someone with 4 years of UX research, and this person has 2 years of design. What are they thinking? So I think you just have to have some self-awareness and ask yourself, how close am I to what they're asking for? Am I really close? Am I sort of close? Am I not really close? So that's usually my advice on that. It's definitely an it depends. But remember, even when you look at a job and you go, oh my gosh, I am just 100% perfect for that, you can still be rejected automatically without an interview, as happens to me all the time. And if Ralitza were here, she and I could laugh about that because I even made a non-financial bet with her on that recently. She was like, oh my God, I found the most perfect job for you ever, ever, ever. I said, I will apply, but they won't even interview me. She's like, no, they have to interview you. You're so perfect for this job. It's written for you. I said, yeah, they won't interview me. Long story short, they didn't want to interview me. And I was like, pew, pew, I win. Nothing. We didn't bet. So Kayleen, I hope that helps, but you're here. So let me know if you have a follow-up question, or just go back into the archives and watch episode 15 for some of my thoughts. I had even made a little PowerPoint on that because it came from, I had ended up in a fight with someone who I've since blocked on LinkedIn, where her stance was like, everybody should apply to everything because you never know. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. I don't want that. Kayleen says, seeing other people's success stories makes it tough. Yeah, and you know, some of these success stories aren't totally success stories. I see a lot of juniors going, hooray, I'm working at my first job. I finally got my first job. And when I look at their first job, or I privately ask them about their first job, I find out it's not really UX. It's web design. It's marketing landing pages. It's customer communications. So remember, not everybody is having the success that they might be showing to the public on LinkedIn. There's a private version of some of these. So please don't look at other people's successes or failures and think of yourself. Everybody is going to carve their own path. And Shatterquake says people don't always post their failures. Remember that. Yeah, I don't like to post either because I find both uninspiring. You know, as for my failures, giant who cares? And as for my successes, giant who cares? Whenever people post on LinkedIn like, I had this terrible failure, but look at me today, I'm always like, congratulations? But like whenever people go, that's so inspiring, I always want to write to them and say, and what did it inspire you to do? What did you do after being inspired? Inspired means you breathed new life into yourself and you took new action. If your inspiration was looking at the screen and nodding, stop saying you were inspired. I would say you were not. You were temporarily impressed, and then you did nothing. So look out. All right, also from Kayleen. Kayleen says, there's a conference coming up on the 25th, right? Yeah, I'm really late in putting up the website about it. I've got it on my to-do list this week, but this is also my 86-hour work week. So, but I'm going to do my best. So my conference is Concentric. We did it last January 2020, right before the pandemic. It was all live and online. We're going to do it live and online again. This year it's going to be completely free. So block out your calendar May 25, 26, and 27. There's going to be 4 hours a day of talks and presentations and panels. And there's going to be 2 hours before and after those for free mentoring from multiple people who've signed up, wonderful people, and networking. Totally free. So it's not on the website yet, and I haven't, I could give you the registration link, but you're registering for a completely unknown agenda. So I do have the agenda. I asked multiple people to create tracks with a theme. Some people did and some people didn't. So if they didn't, they won't have a track at my conference. And if they did, they will. But we do have tracks from Darren Hood. We do have a track from Dr. Seth, who got a whole bunch of psych people, which is going to be exciting. Of course, we'll find a spot for Dr. Nick to do a talk. And we've got a great talk on diversity and inclusion from May Kay, and Jasmine Orange put something together. So it's really going to be special. It's really special, with thanks to all of them. And I think Elijah was putting something together. Elijah, are you here? Were you still putting together a track? Elijah was going to put together a track on like AR and VR. Sounded so cool. So yeah, block out your calendars for mostly American time zones or evening for us in Europe. May 25, 26, 27. It will be live on AirMeet, where we hold our Slack networking. And then it will be available probably a few weeks later on YouTube after I can edit the hell out of it. Anything regarding IA? I don't know. I didn't specifically ask IA people to chair a track. Oh, Elijah says, yes, I sent you all the track. Good. So I have it in my saved email, and I'm going to look at it this week. And now I'm burning up. It's like spring. Sometimes I'm hot and sometimes I'm cold, everybody. Help. Plus, I bought the extra thick sweatshirts. I'm dying. All right. Whew. Whee. Ah. Yes, good. So Elijah's got a track, which is super interesting. So we've got all kinds of stuff. I'll do one of my talks. We'll get Dr. Nick. Darren's in there. I didn't even look. I didn't even look. I put everything in saved email and I said, I'll deal with this later. So I'll try to get that up in the next few days, but definitely block out your calendars. Thank you, Elijah. So thank you, Kayleen. More Kayleen questions coming right at you. And don't forget, this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. It is half over. So if you have a question you want answered this week, deltacx.link/ask. These happen every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. We decided this morning that we're not going to do the morning office hours that were 10 a.m. Italy time every week. They're really messing with my sleep and my schedule. So we're going to do them once a month. And I will be updating the calendar today or tomorrow to reflect that. Okay, the Kayleen questions. Here it is. Your most recent Medium article said 2 years from now, 90% of CX change agents will be found at agencies and consultancies. Yes, I've got a new Medium article out and it's called 2-Year Predictions for CX and UX or something like that. Google it. Kayleen says, does this have implication for newbies' job search? I think it already does. I mean, that's really what I'm saying in my, oops, sorry for my green screen shadows. I think it already does. I think that we're already finding what I'm talking about in that article, which is that most jobs right now that claim to be UX or UX UI or things like that are really just visual design and wireframes. It is such a small piece of what we do. You know, I tell people in my talk, you'll see in my agility talk, I say, okay, like here's information architecture, here's a tiny dot. This is what most of the world thinks UX is. It's a tiny piece of the interaction design and prototyping world. Yeah, that's UX. And the problem is because so many people think that's UX, that's the people they're hiring. They're hiring visual designers who make wireframes. They don't care so much about research and content strategy and information architecture. They just want some wireframes and nice screens that can be passed to engineering, and we don't have to test them. We'll find out later. I think that's already happening at so many jobs. And it's also causing problems for today's juniors who are the low ego action heroes. There are plenty of people who've come out of boot camps who would love to sketch screens based on what they think are good solutions and run with them. But if you are hanging out on my channel, you are different. I don't know how else to say it. You're something else. You're a low ego action hero. You've got your own theme song and everything. And thank you for the artist palette. Where do you guys get these great emojis? Elijah, I will add your question to the end. We've got some from Kayleen first. So I think it's already hurting jobs for newbies, that there are very few jobs for newbies. The jobs typically don't come with mentoring and coaching, and the jobs are typically, hey, wireframe something so we can give it to engineering and we'll learn later if customers like it. And you're all going, that's not the right way. So we're already seeing that split, and I believe the split will be further. And I think that the implications that it will have for newbies' job searches is also already starting. And I think that the people who especially hang out here, the low ego action heroes, and the people who aspire to be the future low ego action heroes, in my dreamy dream world, you work with me. I hire you. You work for my company, you work with me, and we grow a world of people who care about doing deep quality work the right way and finding the right things for products and services, customers, and our clients. And that all the people who want to just sketch some screens and throw them at engineering are not going to work at my company, and things like that. So I think that eventually all of you low ego action heroes are going to be much pickier about the jobs where you work. You're probably, my prediction in my Medium article is that you're going to work more at agencies and consultancies, and you're less likely to work in the corporate world, because the corporate world is full of so much garbage right now and so much low UX maturity and anger and hostility around UX. If everybody thinks UX is sketching pretty screens or running lots of workshops so we can all sketch pretty screens, are you taking that job? Are you going to be happy at that job? How long are you going to stay at that job? I think that people are going to find other places to work. That's just my prediction. I can't swear that's going to happen. That's just my current prediction. So now Kayleen's putting up a whole bunch of animals just to see them on the screen. That's my guess. Here they come. Not bad. Backwards bouncing dog. Let's see. So then Elijah's question. We're up to that. Hey, I'm up to the last question. So if anybody has questions, ask them now. I don't see any from deltacx.link/ask. Let me double check that I didn't miss something. Nope. So if you have questions, please do ask them. They are free. Kayleen says 5 dogs out of 5. Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, always happy to answer your questions, Kayleen. That's why we're here. This is Ask Me Anything. Okay, Elijah says, do you have any tips or resources for UX beginners to find quality apprenticeship programs? No. You mean they exist? You mean there's an apprenticeship program other than mine? What? I'm not really seeing them right now. I see them a little bit from agencies and consultancies like mine. I see them a little bit once in a while from some of the big players like Google. But typically these companies open internships. They don't open apprenticeships, and there is a difference. Usually internships are have to be current students or recent graduates, and sometimes states or governments reimburse companies for some of what they spend in internships because it's an investment in labor and the job force. And so people want they want to run internships because they usually get some money for it, but they don't want to run apprenticeships. I'm hoping that with my apprenticeship model being out there, and of course it's on the deltacx.com website under models, that more companies will create apprenticeships, especially if they give 2.5 poops about diversity, equality, and inclusion. Because if you care about those things, then you can't support only the newbies that did a college degree. Not everybody has done a college degree. Not everybody has time or money. So if you care about diversity, inclusion, and equality, you can't just ask for the people who are in bachelor's and master's degrees. Plus, if you only look for people with bachelor's and master's degrees in UX, you wouldn't have even picked me. And I'd like to think I'm pickable. But not if that's your gate, as I say in all my HR training. The gate is that one quality, maybe 2, where you don't care what else anybody has. You don't care what talent I have, what personality I have, what ideas I have, how I'm a change agent or a critical thinker or a detective or a lawyer in disguise. You just see that I don't have a bachelor's or master's in UX, and the gate is closed. So, womp womp. We've got some emoji from Wilson, and we've got an anonymous question, so I'm going to grab that. Let's grab the anonymous question, and then we'll grab the Wilson question. Please hold. Ooh, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Okay. Kayleen says, Google calls it the User Experience Design Apprenticeship. Okay, but let me guess, you need to have a year of experience? To me, an apprenticeship should not require experience. It should require a certain personality. It should require some training, study, knowledge of CX and UX concepts, but I wouldn't expect an apprentice to have done any real work ever before. Otherwise, again, where's your DEI? You're cutting out all the people who didn't get that. Hi, Olivia the dog almost knocked over my light. How are you, Olivia? Kayleen says it says less than 1 year. I hope so. So who knows? Okay, so the anonymous question and then the Wilson question. Anonymous question says, at interviews, will I ever be asked to show user research reports or presentations? If you are applying for a user research job that is junior level or higher, where they expect that you have previously done real work, I would probably expect you to show some parts of some of these things. Maybe you can't show all of them because of confidentiality, but I wonder if you can show any of them, or edited versions or redacted versions, because I want to see that you can do the work. I want to see what your work looks like. It's the best way to try to figure out if I might want to interview or hire you. So if that can be in your portfolio, great. If you can show that in an interview, great. I'm so distracted by having this pimple. Boo. We were working in the dirt all weekend. What can I say? I don't wear a lot of makeup, just concealer. Hi, Darren. Good to see you. Any questions, Darren? Yes, I think it interviews you. If it is for a user research job, I think it's possible that someone could ask to see some user research reports or presentations. I would want to see anything you can show me that, especially that you might have done yourself, that shows me you can do this work. That's the whole point of bringing you into an interview and having you present stuff from your portfolio. Show me what you've done, because that's a clue to me of what you can do and what you will do. So I would say try to make versions of some of your artifacts and documents and reports that are showable in a private interview. Obviously, if anything is confidential, you're going to need to scrub it or redact it or whatever you can. If it's super confidential and scrubbing it is not good enough, then you can't show it. So it depends, but I think based on your question, I think it's possible that you could be asked to show those things. So it's possible. Okay, so I'm seeing another message from my friend, and my friend wants me to say a special hello to Shatterquake. Hi, Shatterquake. All right, so let's see. Next is the Wilson question. Wilson says, is it coming up? Yeah. That's a hello to Darren from Wilson. Wilson says, any tips on what to do when you're going through the job hunt burnout? I'm feeling a little down at the moment. Sure. Take a break. Tell yourself it's okay to take a break. Applying for jobs is a job. It feels like a full-time job. It's at least a part-time job. So it can be very exhausting, especially when there's applications and there's interviews and sometimes terrible, evil design challenges. So I think that the best way to go would be to give yourself a break. Take a couple of days off your job hunt. Give yourself a breather and tell yourself it's okay to give yourself a break. It's if you're burning out, you need a break. That's the bottom line. So make sure you are giving yourself that break. And obviously, all pandemics considered, try to do something that's fun, relaxing, and different for you. Something that isn't your day job, that isn't looking for work, something that's very, very different. Heck, you could even take a break from our world if it would help you. If you're like, I just don't want to even hear about CX and UX, you can take a break from here if that helps, but I would say take a break. Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that? You got to find balance. Burnout and the mental and physical things that go with it are just reminders that we need a break. I get the same thing. I get certain pains in my shoulder and arm and hands that tell me I've been overdoing it. And my body basically forces me to stop by saying, you can't type. You just can't. So listen to the messages from your mind and body. Right, Elijah? So I am caught up on questions, but we still have about 15 minutes. So let me know what else, what other questions are popping up for you. Happy to give you my opinions on things. Whoop, wrong button. fat fingered that one. Remember, Monday, May 3rd, I'm going to be doing Improving Agility by Using Customers' Definitions of Quality and Done. That's my latest talk for non-CX, non-UX people. I'm going to do it here so that I can take your questions and that so you can be aware of the content and hopefully share it with people at your company. Of course, Tuesday is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I'm just doing the late one. And then Monday, May 10th, I'm going to be doing Deb gives quick assessments of bootcamp curricula and university curricula and online course curricula. So if you want me to review something, send it in. Aha, Kayleen has a question. Let's copy and paste it. And the question is about this thing. In the UCD graphic, what is docs? And basically, I can't put both up at the same time, but basically, they're both on layer 4. Basically, the idea of docs is sometimes when we are done with our block of work, our sprint, our whatever it is, there might be some documentation that we need to wrap up, either for ourselves or for engineering. And so I just put that in there as a reminder to people that there might be documentation to create. I'm always telling people to document risk, document potential problems and risk and things that could happen because they didn't follow a good user-centered design process. And so reminder to self, document. We got a question in this morning's office hours about someone who inherited a project from someone who's no longer at the company and they can't tell the context of the project. Docs. Better documentation for your future self, or if you don't work there anymore, for the person who does. Let's be nice to our future selves or our future whatever by having better documentation of products, projects, and decisions. So thanks for asking. Wilson says, yeah, definitely helps to just take a break with everything UX and CX related. I just need to not use my phone and read about it, hear about it, or think about it. Yeah, I took the weekend off, which is really rare for me. I didn't turn on my computer until Sunday night. That was like 2 days of computer off, and I barely looked at my phone, and we just did all kinds of stuff around the house. We did some spring cleaning, we reorganized some things, we fixed our storage room, my boyfriend mowed the lawn and weed whacked, and I must have done something. So we didn't do work. It was wonderful. And that was, I can't remember the last time I did that. I don't know, 1883? I don't even know. Samuel has a question. Let's copy and paste it. And then I see Darren says, I've been taking the weekends off from LinkedIn. I see Elijah's question and Kayleen's follow-up question. So hold on. Okay. So Samuel says, hello, Debbie. Hello, Samuel. I'm looking for more questions I should be asking myself to make sure that UX/CX is the direction I want to head in. I have 3 to 4 years in fundraising, CRM, and I'm open and curious. Wonderful. Just a great question because I do think UX and CX are for some people and not for others. We do have episode, ooh boy, I don't know the number, but you can search for it on YouTube. Put Delta CX Traits, TRAITS. You'll get an episode with me and Darren talking about some of the personality traits that we believe people need to be more successful long-term in a UX or CX career. You can see if you feel like you match with those traits. That would be one place to start. Another place is on the YouTube channel. I have a playlist called Learning UX and Career Transition. That's got some different streams on, hey, you think you want to work in UX. There's also a short perspectives video in the perspectives playlist. You could probably easily find it by searching YouTube for Delta CX conflict. I have a short perspectives video on why does Debbie keep saying there's so much conflict and fighting at our jobs. I think it's important for people to know that our jobs are mostly ugly and mostly thankless, and we're usually blamed way more than we're rewarded. So you have to be ready for all these types of things. I would say start there and see if this still feels like a match. You can also feel free to join the Slack channel and meet other low ego action heroes and ask questions anytime. So there you go. Hopefully that'll help. So Samuel, let me know how that goes, and hopefully that helps. Darren says episode 44. Thanks everybody for being quick on the, I'm not even checking. Let's see. Kayleen says, thanks Deb and Darren for inspiring me to delete the LinkedIn app off my phone. Yeah, I do have it on my phone, but I've also promised myself I am not going to look at LinkedIn once I get into bed, because when I get into bed at night, I'm still watching YouTube videos, checking some emails, chatting with some of you on Slack. But I know I don't want to look at LinkedIn, because if there's going to be a negative experience for me anywhere on this planet, it's LinkedIn. Because I don't use Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. If there's going to be anything ugly, it's probably LinkedIn. So even though some of my experiences on LinkedIn are good and some of the messages are from you and I want to see them, once I'm in bed, I don't want to feel the conflict, right? I just want to feel the smiles and getting ready for sleep. Let's see. So I see Wilson has another question about my new keyboard. Darren says, I also did a series on my podcast called So You Want to Be a UXer. Yeah, so look up Darren's podcast also, which is it still called UX Uncensored? No, it's The World of UX. So look up Darren's stuff, which is called The World of UX, I think, and he'll have some good stuff too. Okay. Elijah says, I think it was Elijah. Where can I find that UCD graphic? I made it. Googling user-centered design shows a bunch of images that seem more like design thinking. Yeah, so I'll give you the history of that graphic. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. What about this folder? Will it be in this folder? UCD. Nope, not in that folder. What about this folder? Let me search my entire computer for it while we're talking. I'll show you the history of, oh, here it is. Here's the history of this graphic. All right. So the history of my graphic, and I'm going to share my screen. Give me a moment. Let's see. So you should be able to see it now. So the history of the graphic was I found this graphic online in, oh my God, 2012. And I thought, you know, this is pretty close, but there's a couple of things here that don't really match what I'm doing, and they're not the way that I would communicate them. So I made a variation of this graphic. But this was the graphic that I found, gosh, almost 10 years ago. And so my graphic is a derivative of this graphic. So thanks to whoever did this, I never found where it came from. But so basically it starts with gather requirements, which is why I have requirements and auditing as my first thing. Now, I don't believe in focus groups, so I took that off. I'm not always making personas and scenarios. I'm not always doing competitive analysis. So there I ended up putting research, so that it could be anything. It could be, I think it says research and auditing. So it could be internal research, which is some of my auditing. It could be external research. Content analysis and strategy. So I put strategy instead of mapping. I put information architecture instead of structure diagram and information architecture. I put interaction design and prototyping. I put testing instead of validation. I didn't put maintenance. I used to have iteration on there, and now I think I just have visual design and documentation. So that is the history of the graphic that I show. It is a derivative of that one. Yeah, Kayleen says, oh, that visual style fills me with nostalgia. Yeah, you can tell what year that's probably from, but it wasn't bad. But I looked at it and I said, this isn't exactly what I do, and I don't really want to get people sold on focus groups, and some of this other stuff is a little too in the weeds for the average person. They're not going to understand a structure diagram. So I kind of simplified it to requirements and audit, which especially if you're in, whether you're in the corporate world or the agency world, we have to learn what our clients need or what this project is. So whether you have standard requirements or user stories or something else, and then usually I'm auditing the existing product. When it's a new client, we're going through their website or their app or their system or their service to get to know it and to see where it's a bit of a disaster. Then, of course, we have research. That research can be internal and external, researching with stakeholders, with customer support, with internal people, or with the users and customers as well. Content analysis, information architecture, interaction design and prototyping, user testing and validation, though, of course, sometimes we are invalidating. Iteration and refinement. Okay, I did keep that there just to remind people that this is cyclical. And usually when I show this in conferences, I explain that this is cyclical and that we can pick and choose these, but that in general, this order is best because each phase informs the next phase. Visual design, only because I am not an artist, so I don't require that I or anybody at my company do the visual design during the interaction design phase. If people are more UX, UI, product design, or have a design system or component library, sometimes you're doing your visual design here in interaction design, but I didn't want to split hairs on that. And then documentation. So this is my simplification of that other graphic. But like I said, I saw that graphic like 10 years ago and I thought it was great. Elijah says, I really like how your diagram is both simple but also comprehensive. It's not too simple, but it's also not stuck on the details and not methodology focused. Yeah, right. I don't have to say it's a focus group or it's a this or a that. It's research and methodology to be decided. So thanks for asking that question. I see another fresh question from Kayleen, so I'll put that on the list. And let's go back to the list. So Kayleen's question was, have you ever explained requirements and audit? I think I know, but I'm not sure. So hopefully, Kayleen, that helped you out with requirements and audit, because very often especially at corporate jobs, there are formal requirements of what the business side of our company expects this project to be about and do and achieve. And sometimes it gets more specific as well. And so we have to review those. I'm also pushing, especially this year in my talks, which you'll see in Improving Agility, I'm pushing for us to be part of requirements writing, to be a collaborator on it. We shouldn't just be given requirements and surprise, here's the project. We should be part of writing those to shepherd customer centricity. So I want that to be more of a part of our process. So I think that kills two questions with one bird. Wilson says, how are your hands doing with the new keyboard? Thank you for asking. I have not used the new keyboard very much in the last few days because since this is my week to do something like 22 user interviews, I've been using my old keyboard with the QWERTY. So I bought a new keyboard. Oh yeah, I changed how it's connected so I can't pick it up. I bought a new keyboard. If you want to look it up, it's the ErgoDox EZ. Hashtag not sponsored. This is the wrist rest. Hashtag not sponsored. I got the ErgoDox EZ in black, and I like it a lot, and I really like that it is completely programmable. And so I have created a Colmac keyboard with it. So I am moving away from QWERTY and learning Colmac. I find that I'm still quite slow on Colmac, which is very frustrating. I type at least 100 words a minute on QWERTY. Colmac, I am SLO. I am slow. I'm at about 20 words a minute on Colmac, but I also changed my phone keyboard to Colmac. Check it out, y'all. Let's go into my Slack channel. I'll show you. So let's say we're in the Delta CX Slack, and I wanted to write a message. Here is my keyboard. That's Colmac. And the theory behind Colmac, or hypothesis, is you put the most used letters in the English language in the middle row so your fingers move less. So it's not about obtaining more speed, it's about ergonomics and reducing repetitive motion strain, carpal tunnel, and really finger usage. So check out Colmac. It was developed about 15 years ago. It's also really smart because unlike Dvorak and some of the other alternative keyboard layouts, it doesn't move Q, W, A, Z, X, C, V, or B. And that means most of the control keys you're used to doing, like copy and paste, are in the same place. So it's really interesting. So I've been practicing with it more on my phone than on my keyboard because this is user interviews week and I got to just type stuff fast. So hopefully after this week, I'll get back to more keyboarding with New Keyboard and Colmac. Thank you for asking. But my hands are definitely feeling better after I took that week pretty much off. Okay, Kayleen has the curious question, which is, what's the difference between P-Type, Brass Flowers, and Delta CX? So basically, though that's out of order, you are watching the progression of some of the rebranding that I've done over the last 10 years. So once upon a time, my company was originally called As Was. It was based on the punchline of a cartoon that I saw when I was 2. And I thought it was really funny. So when I was 4 and I pretended to have my own company, I named my company As Was. I had As Was for many, many years. It was technically my website design company. If you want to get silly, you can go to the Wayback Machine and look up aswas.com. We had many really fun, cool website designs. I had a great artist. I had a few great artists. And yeah, we had a great little website design company for many years. And in 2009, by 2008, I was starting to transition more formally into UX, maybe even a little earlier than that, but definitely 2008-ish. And in 2009, my best friend Mike, who none of you know, he's not in UX, I asked him if he wanted to be on the show. And then he was like, what would I talk about? And I was like, do you work with any UX people? He's like, no. I'm like, I don't know what you talk about. So my best friend Mike has not yet planned to be on the show unless we want to have him do improv comedy. He is the head of global sales of Taylor Guitars. So if you want to talk about guitars, we could have him on, but he really is not a UX guy. He is a sales guy. So in 2009, Mike was like, I don't know, maybe you should like start another company, you know, because your web design business is kind of fading and your UX consulting is kind of growing. You know, maybe you should spin up a different corporation. So I ended up spinning up Brass Flowers, which was named as a tribute to my 2 grandmothers who have since passed away. They both had flower names, Rose and Lillian, and they both had brass balls. So I named my company in honor and quickly memory of them. Evil Grandma Rose passed in 2009, and wonderful light of my life Grandma Lee, short for Lillian, passed in 2011. So it is my ongoing tribute to them. And but I found that, you know, the name was meaningful to me, but it was crappy branding. Most people assumed I was a flower shop. I even now get spam email, Dear Sir, would you like roses from Ecuador? Damn it. The funniest was I'm actually in the Los Angeles County vendor database from being considered for an Acture training job. And I actually got an email one day that was like, hello, Brass Flowers, you're in our vendor database. Can you please deliver flowers to the county jail? It's like, shit, I'm listed under NIACS whatever code for web design. Like, no, I don't deliver flowers. Damn it. So in, what was it, 2000? I'd have to look it up. 2013? Somewhere around there. I'd have to check when my trademark is from. I changed it to P-Type. P-type short for prototype, because by then I was doing a lot of prototypes. So yes, you can go to the Wayback Machine and look at brassflowers.com. P-type is still up. The website is pty.pe. It's the shortest domain I could get that said P-type. .pe is Peru. The P-type website is still up. And it's quite different than the Delta CX website. So P-type is still a brand name that I use. You'll see it sometimes on my jacket. And it's a brand name that people do know since it's been around about 10 years. I'm phasing it out mostly, though it is the name I gave to my Italian company. So in America, I am legally Brass Flowers Incorporated. And I have 2 DBAs. I can doing business as P-type, doing business as Delta CX. In Italy, my company is called P-type. So in Italy, it's P-type. I had to change my email address for P-type because too many email things were putting Peruvian email in spam. So my .pe was starting to kill me. So my website is still pty.pe. My website is ptypeux.com. So that's how old it is. So then I am Delta CX. So Delta CX is a name that I've been using for about 2 years, I guess, since I was writing my Delta CX book. And so essentially it's all really me and the businesses that I've had and the things that I've done and the people who've worked with me, and the services and things that I've offered and the books that I've written. And it's kind of the world that orbits me. I think Delta CX is going to be a keeper for a while. I don't think there's anything wrong with P-type. I think it's pretty catchy. Looks great on a sweatshirt. And I do have Delta CX sweatshirts. Those look amazing. That's 11 colors of thread. Yeah, sorry to make this story so long, but they're all my brand. Brass Flowers is just now my legal name on checks and tax returns. P-type I still use in a lot of places, and especially in Italy here, where that is my legal name. If you ever notice, the pen that I pick up from time to time is a P-type pen. I do not have Delta CX pens. I only have P-type pens. But I do have Delta CX stickers, which some of you have received if you have gotten a signed book from me. Ooh, secret. So I'm not big on the swag, yeah, so these are brand names that I use in different places for different things. I have found that the P-type brand seems to resonate a little bit more with the people who are not that familiar with what UX and CX are, but they know that they need some help with their website or their system or their SaaS. And the Delta CX brand is a little bit more, in my opinion, of like to me, in the future, the Delta CX brand will compete with all of the big consulting companies out there, the Deloittes, the Accentures. That's what I hope for Delta CX in the future, that it'll be said in the same sentences with them, but much more positively. Praveen says, Debbie, your book is not easily available. Depends where you are. My book is on Amazon. If Amazon does not ship to where you are, then yes, my book is not easily available. I've heard that some people in the Middle East have trouble getting my book because there isn't an Amazon that will ship to them. I do have some hardcovers here, but they are very expensive. I do ship my hardcovers, but I do not have cheap paperbacks to ship to people. If you private message me through LinkedIn or through our Slack channel and tell me what country you're located in, I will certainly try to help you find how you can get my book. My book is also on Kindle. So if you are in a country that is served by Amazon Kindle, you probably do have my book through Kindle, and then we can all save trees. Praveen says, I am from India. I'm pretty sure India has my book, but I will double check this. I think there's Amazon India, right? Let's I've got a call in 20 minutes, but let's do this. Let's see. New browser window. Here we go. New browser window. Amazon.in. Is it Amazon.in? Yes. Okay, and now let's see, Delta CX. Okay. Okay, so I'm on Amazon India, and here's the India flag, and it's in English, and it says, let's see, how could you get it? Kindle is 819, paperback is 11,696, and Abhishek says it's currently unavailable. Don't pick this one. Do you see the different color on this one? And do you see this one that says currently unavailable? I had a problem with an Amazon listing, and Amazon won't let me take that listing down. So search for Delta CX and pick the one that exists. Don't pick the one that says currently unavailable. Believe it or not, when you mess up an Amazon book listing, you can't take it down. So, Charlene says, yes, Amazon is in India. So I would say if you are looking for my book in India, pick the brightly colored one with the good ratings and the availability and the price. Do not pick the currently unavailable one. So Abhishek and Praveen, are you seeing this now? Does this look like it exists? Old picture of me. I will have to update that. So Praveen and Abhishek and others in India, it says Kindle Unlimited is 0. Yes, if you are paying for Kindle Unlimited, which is an Amazon Kindle subscription where you get certain books for free with your monthly subscription, then my book is free. If you do not have a Kindle Unlimited subscription and you are not paying Amazon the monthly fee for what they call Kindle Unlimited, then just click this thing that says see all formats and editions, and you just want the Kindle edition at the regular price, which is $819, and then you can buy it. And it should be, you should be able to match it up with whatever device you use for reading your Kindle stuff. So hopefully that helps people who happen to be watching who are in India or use Amazon India. And it is a very large file. They're warning you here. Well, look, it is a million billion pages. What else does it tell you? Page flip, announce type. Flavio says that Kindle version is good to go, or it's a book that works better on paper. No, the Kindle version is absolutely good to go. I made sure that the Kindle version and the print version were absolutely pretty much the same. There isn't anything in the print version that you're missing in Kindle, as far as I can think of. One bonus of Kindle is I believe all of the images are in color, whereas I think in the paperback, Amazon prints the cheap paperback I sell on Amazon. It's not cheap, but it's cheaper than my hardcover books that I have here. The printing is grayscale. Which is fine, except for my chapter on color blindness, where some of my points fall a little flat because the printing is grayscale and I'm talking about color blindness. So even on the Kindle, I think the images are in color, which I think is really nice. And I was just looking at my own book on Amazon Kindle. Here we go, Delta CX. I was looking at the color blindness chapter because I was talking about the guy who wrote our theme song, who is the musician. For those of you who read my book, the musician I interviewed about color blindness is the musician who wrote our theme song. So the images are in color. So to me, the Kindle's the best way to go. No trees were hurt. And you get the images in color. If you order the paper book off Amazon, do I have one handy? Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I'm just off camera grabbing books and falling out of my chair. Here we go. So the paperback that Amazon sells looks like this. And as you can see, oh, there was your old, that's the old version of the thingy. I updated it a little bit. There it is. It's a little bit different than the one I showed you. I've updated it and I keep trying to make it a little bit better. Yeah, this is a little different. This says user and competitor research. And oh, that's the only change I made. I just made it, now it just says research. But you can see it's grayscale. I do have hardcover books, which I call my library quality books. And they are printed in full color. But as you can imagine, they are expensive. And mostly because of the shipping in COVID. I just shipped one to Dimitris in Greece. And it was like 50 American dollars to ship to him. Sorry, I'm getting shadows on my green screen. So these books are in color. So, but this one I sell for $75 because shipping, so I make no money on it. And this one is 23 American. But again, you can see it's available on Amazon India. And again, the Amazon mistake with that file is on all the Amazons. So if you tell somebody to check out my book on Amazon, you unfortunately have to say, and disregard the one that says unavailable, pick the other search result. So not much I can do. I asked Amazon if I can take that down, and they said no. Once it's been assigned an ISBN, it has to be in their database forever. Sucks. So I forgot to look if you had any questions. And Flavio says, awesome, a little more soldi per il formaggio. Yeah, maybe. Very little. I make about $3 per book. So again, I'm always happy to see people buy the book, but you know, I didn't write the book to make money. I wrote the book to get ideas out. Darren says, any chance the book will be available via iBooks? Not at this time. I was just going to focus more on Amazon, and I haven't looked at iBooks because I'm not anything. I'm Windows and Android, so I don't usually think about the Apple verse very much. Kayleen said, I didn't know Amazon printed books with grayscale. Yeah, so the paperback is grayscale, but I can choose in the Kindle in their book publishing system, because anybody can self-publish a book. It's really not that hard. Anybody can publish any book. That's why there's so much garbage out there. So all my books are self-published. I didn't work with any publishing company. Some publishing companies were interested, and I said no. You just load the files up, and you watch Amazon keep most of the money. So yeah, that one is grayscale. And then I have the hard-covered ones I printed them in color. In America, I was having them printed by Barnes & Noble. And in Europe, I was having them printed by Ingram Spark. Not sponsored. Hey, we've run late. I'm so sorry about that. I do have some calls coming up, and I'm going to have to run, and 2 more user interviews tonight. So, thanks to everybody for hanging out. It looks like I will see everybody on Monday, where I will do my conference presentation called Improving Agility by Using Customers' Definitions of Quality and Done, which again, you're technically not the target audience for, but I hope everybody will see it and show it to people at their workplaces. Thanks again for hanging out, everybody. I guess I'm going to play us out of here. Reminder, I have not yet made a new closing video for this channel to go with our new exciting theme song. So this is the old music and the old closer. I'm hoping I will have time this weekend to create a new closing video with using pieces of the theme song. And Kayleen wants some icons on the screen before I go, so let's wait for that. It appears to be 5 dogs and a hot dog, so she's really on like a dog theme. She must have searched for dog and just chose everything. All right, got that out of our system. Or if you want, I can reload the overlay that does the emojis, and it'll run like all of them. There, I hope that makes everybody happy. All right, everybody, have a good rest of your week and a safe weekend. Please wear 2 million masks in layers with filters. And I'll see all the low ego action heroes in the Slack channel, and see everybody else Monday on the show, 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Be well. Thanks for coming, and see everybody soon.
Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation